Let's look at a very interesting segment from Fox News yesterday. This is a segment in which Jesse Waters, I believe, is the host of this program. This right-winger who's very popular on social media, one of the top view getters on Facebook, Dan Bongino, is a guest or panelist. And the topic is crime in the United States. This is a favorite topic right now of the right to lie about and to deceive people about on right-wing media. And Fox, I guess she's like a contributor. She's a guest on this program. Fox contributor Jessica Tarlov absolutely crushes Waters and Bongino. Now, Jessica Tarlov may be a centrist. I don't know that much about her. I'm not calling her a hero. I'm not saying anything other than in this particular segment, she's really, really good at crushing the dishonest, delusional lies of two of these guys on Fox News. So let's look at the segment. Again, the framing here is the crime surge, which Republicans are attributing to Joe Biden, but they're using 2020 data to attribute it to Joe Biden. Now, you might be saying, hold on, David, Trump was president in 2020. How does that have to do with Joe Biden? And that is exactly the right question. So let's take a look at the segment.
And the spike in murders, again, was only in areas dominated by liberal politicians. So this is obviously not true. It's obviously has something to do with the politics, not COVID.
So the framing there is, we're going to talk about the fact that the crime is up in cities rather than the fact that the crime was up while Trump was president. But of course, we've talked before, cities tend to be run by Democrats. Quote, dangerous cities are run by Democrats and safe cities are run by Democrats because in general, Democrats prefer cities and Republicans prefer non-cities. Okay, let's see how Jessica Tarlov deals with this.
I'm not sure that it has something to do necessarily with the politics. There are a few things that are important here. One, Jesse, we'll do another segment on that, but all those countries you read, they don't have a rampant gun problem like the United States of America does. Check how many weapons
People
per capita
can still
they have.
kill you with a knife. Go down
But
to
they're
Brazil.
not. They're not. And
Go down to Colombia.
I lived in the UK a
slit your
long
throat.
time where people got knifed all the time, and it's still nothing close to our murder rate. So
okay, they love this talking point, but it's very dumb. Knives create less death than guns in equivalent situations. Part of it is to kill someone with a knife. There's something much more sometimes viscerally repelling. I mean, the action, right, of stabbing someone to death. People aren't throwing knives from across the room. You've got to be right on someone. And the fact that with a gun, you can create more distance and still inflict damage to someone just makes it less likely that a mass stabbing would even be attempted in the same way that the mass shooting would be. But we have data about mass stabbings, and most people survive. One of the most deadly mass stabbings, we covered it at the time, it was in 2019 in Japan. 2 people were tragically killed, 2 kids. 17 were injured and survived. Someone with a semi-automatic weapon in that situation, with the amount of time that this incident lasted, would almost certainly kill many, many more people. So good for Jessica Tarlov for pointing that out. Jesse Waters is going to say people can be killed by knives. Fine, it may not convince that many people on Fox News, but Jessica Tarlov is getting it right. Now let's get to the 2020 thing, which is just unbelievably dumb that they're doing.
the data that we're talking about is 2020. Those were the Trump years. So all of this blaming on President Biden that's happening now, actually under President Biden's watch, the murder rate has even gone down. Another important component of the FBI data, that the short-term increases was in all regions, not just in those liberal cities. All regions. That means in places where conservatives are. That means that this can't all be because of bail reform, defund the police, yada, yada, yada. And also the murder rate and the crime rate overall is lower than it was in the 1990s. So conservatives are running around screaming, we've never seen anything like this. You have seen something like this.
So these are all very good points, and they all should be dealt with individually. If the problem is that the danger and crime are happening in liberal cities, we need to adjust for the fact that liberals tend to live in cities and run cities, and conservatives tend to overall live in more rural and suburban areas. And in terms of per capita crime rates, we actually see that per capita, some of those rural areas are really, really dangerous. The problem is it's hard to compare a city to a tiny town. You really have to look at an area where you have enough of a population to actually evaluate this. And then, of course, number two, long term, the crime rate has been going down. We did see a bump in 2020, but Trump was president, and much of it was despair related to the mishandled pandemic. They were blaming Biden back then, saying, well, it's the culture of people who would vote for Biden combined with people saying we should defund the police, even though it hadn't actually been done. It had just been proposed by some. But I thought the buck stopped with Trump or whoever was president. So this is a really great example of the narratives that they push not having anything to do with the facts, and a sensible person, in this case, Jessica Tarlov, just saying, hold on, let's put some facts in the way of the propaganda. How many Fox viewers were convinced by this? I have no idea. Maybe not many. But this is exactly the way that if you're going to participate, and Jessica Tarlov is a contributor to Fox, so clearly she is, if you're going to participate in these setup debates that are set up against you, this is exactly the way to do it. We'll have more on this on the David Pakman Show Instagram, which you can find at David Pakman Show. You can also find me on Instagram at david.pakman. One of our sponsors is Atlas VPN. Stop letting big corporations invade your privacy. Atlas VPN makes your IP address anonymous and encrypts your internet traffic, which keeps your info private from big tech companies, from your internet service provider, even from governments. Atlas VPN also keeps you safe from hackers trying to steal your data and financial info, and lets you access your favorite streaming services as if you were in another country, so you can watch shows and movies you wouldn't otherwise be able to. I use Atlas VPN on all of my devices, phone, computer, tablet, anytime I'm connected to the internet. Couldn't be easier to use. You turn it on, it stays on, you keep your information private, and right now, my audience can get Atlas VPN for just $1.39 a month with a 30-day money-back guarantee. You just have to go to atlasv.pn/Pakman. The link is right underneath this video.